Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Twitter, YouTube, the BSN app, wherever you guys are watching today. We appreciate you joining in here. I got Hoard Bender, who's been a busy man throughout the past week, but also today on the Bettor Sports Network shows and Fantasy Alarm. But he's here on a Monday afternoon to talk some sports betting with me. What's up, Howard?
Yo, what's up, Servo? Yeah, it's been a crazy run between the Fantasy Football Expo and doing all the shows. You know, I did a little Alarm Fantasy Football all by myself today. So, you know, we got stuff going on, man. Listen, it's draft season right now for fantasy football. And everybody's jumping in on NFL futures. And of course, everybody's still betting baseball. So there's a lot going on here right now, Servo, and I'm ready.
Yeah, we'll be covering some more NFL futures win totals today for the AFC South. We'll be, of course, giving out our MLB best bets and betting picks for tonight's slate. Smaller slated games, but we still got some picks for the people. And then starting some college football win totals that I will be dishing out. Howard will be kind of picking my brain on some of these college football teams. So, yeah, we're covering a little bit of everything today. And yeah, I know last week just kind of wetting the whistle on the NFL preseason bets was very fun. So I'm just itching for more football. So we got plenty of football today if that's what you're interested in. So stay tuned for all of this. Let's kick things off. Yeah, scratch that itch. Let's kick things off right away with this with AFC South win totals. We'll go through each of these teams, see where me and Howard stand. We've been tracking all of our picks so far. Only got a couple divisions down, so we'll keep going here. And you can see these win totals right now on DraftKings. The Jaguars are the top team at 9.5 wins, the over at -140, under at +120. Let's start right there with the Jags projected to win this division and have the highest win total this year. 9.5 wins seems, might seem a little high, but this is a team that went 9-8 last year and expected to kind of take another leap forward with Trevor Lawrence now in year 3. Doug Peterson there for another season after he really improved this team from their 3 wins all the way to 9 wins last year. Are you going over or under 9.5 for the Jags this year?
You know, I kind of feel like they could be a 10-win team here. You know, I think that the improvements that they have made, just, you know, having more time in the system, working under Doug Peterson, getting Calvin Ridley, it's going to add a whole other dimension to this offense. I think, you know, Tank Bigsby as a second running back is going to add a new dimension to this offense. So I think that, you know, just based off of the schedule, because they are going to play the NFC South in the interconference games. And we all know how weak the NFC South is here. So, you know, for me, the Jaguars to win 10 games, I think that's a no-brainer. The over is -140. So I don't know if I would want to bet it at that kind of juice. I'm actually going to go and I'm going to check out right now an alternate line here and see if we can't get like a little bit of extra value from that. Jacksonville Jaguars, if you bet the 10.5 here, go for 11 wins. That's +125, Servo.
I can get behind that. I'm with you on the over 9.5. So, I was going to mention, you know, obviously we're taking all these from DraftKings, just kind of have a uniform lines and all that, but obviously shop around for the best prices you can get, even if you like the 9.5, but maybe there's a better price on FanDuel, BetMGM, whatever. I could go with a double-digit win season for sure here for the Jaguars. I mean, I mentioned, I think that the fact that Trevor Lawrence is going to take another step forward in year 3 with Doug Peterson there is a very real thing that I like backing here. Just looking back, you know, as an Eagles guy, I just remember how much better the Eagles were in Peterson's second season, where he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles there, where they went from they were a 13-3 that year, but they went from a 7-9 team up to 13-3. Even in Peterson's first year with Jacksonville, they went from, I mentioned, 3-win team all the way to 9-8. I think they're taking another step forward here. You mentioned Calvin Ridley is that cannot go overlooked how much of a big impact that is in addition to that receiving core. And yeah, getting Tank Bigsby is a real addition to that backfield. We know, Peterson's been a guy that likes rotating a couple backs in, and I think Bigsby and Travis Etienne are kind of a nice, 1-2, bringing different skill sets to the table there. So, the defense is maybe a little worried. So a lot of young pieces, but, good talent there. But I think the offense is the big thing that has me going over with you. So, yeah, book the over. I'm fine paying minus 140 too. It's just to get a 10-win season at least. Sure. All right, so we agree on the Jaguars. It's a good start today, Howard.
Oh, is it? Is that considered a good start for us?
I think so. Usually we're disagreeing right off the bat, it seems. But let's see where we go with this next one. The next team up is the Titans. It's 7.5 wins. Over is minus 125 over on DraftKings, and then under is plus 105. The Titans last year, a 7-10 team. So we're this sportsbook win total is banking on them obviously having a better year than last year. I'll say it right now, I love the over here because last year we saw them regress, especially on offense. And I think the big loss was that AJ Brown, moving away from the offense just kind of made the look kind of one-dimensional, leaning too much on Derrick Henry in the run game. But they're bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, just another one of those offseason additions that can't go overlooked, I think. Just kind of giving the offense, the passing game, obviously, a boost. And they still have Henry, who I think is going to still get it done here. They're going to lean on him for sure. But I think Hopkins is a big addition to the offense where we saw this team be a lot better when they had a true number one guy in the receiving core with AJ Brown. Hopefully Hopkins can return to form, be healthy this year. So I have them at that over there. I mean, listen, the previous 4 seasons before last year going 7-10, they were a 9+ win team under Vrabel in each of the previous 4. So I think they're getting back to 9 wins here.
Yeah, I don't like betting against Vrabel to squeeze out a couple of like oddball wins that, you're like, what the hell? How did that happen? It's definitely a no bet for me. I was on the under early on. Like, I get it. You bring in DeAndre Hopkins, but he's not AJ Brown, and Hopkins is an aging receiver. And, now he's, moving into this new offense. And so he's got to gel with Ryan Tannehill. And we don't know what's going to happen with Will Levis. And the offensive line is actually even worse than it was last year. And I was down on it last year. So I will respectfully disagree with you here, Servo. I will go on the under just because I think that they, I feel like they could be a 7-win, they're 7 or an 8-win team. I'll err on the side of caution here and say that, if they have to turn to Will Levis, I think you're going to see a lot of inexperience. Then you're going to force the run issue a little bit more, and that's going to force the hand of this offensive line to really reveal its true colors. So we are at odds on this one, but not by a huge margin.
Yeah, I'm wondering when we will see, if at all, Will Levis this year. Like if they're just going to roll with Tannehill, if they want to get Levis in there to play a little bit. They still have Malik Willis, so we'll see what happens there. But it's interesting that I don't know if you noticed, but in their preseason game, they were kind of going back and forth between Levis and Malik Willis, trading series. It wasn't like one had the first and second quarter or whatever. It was kind of them going back and forth. So it's a true battle to see who's going to be kind of that main backup. Obviously, they just drafted Levis, so he kind of has the leg up right now. But all right, so we're a little bit split on that. But yeah, this is 7.5. I think is a good number for the Titans there. I could also see it going, being just kind of a 500 year in general. But I like the value on getting the over there. All right, the next team we got up, we got the Texans and Colts both at 6.5 wins. We'll start with the Colts. Their over is at minus 120. The under at plus 100 on DraftKings. 4-12-1 season last year for Indianapolis. They obviously had a coaching change. They got Shane Steichen in from the Eagles. They also drafted Anthony Richardson. So that's Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson is that quarterback room right now. Where are you going with the Colts here? 6.5 wins.
6.5. You know what? I mean, I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to be bullish on Anthony Richardson and the style of offense and the way that they've got it. I don't think that this offensive line is as bad as a lot of people are claiming it to be. I think it's about a middle of the pack kind of a situation. Last year, their big problem was their pass blocking. They were fine with the run blocking. They were actually a top 10 team as far as run blocking goes, according to our friends over at Pro Football Focus. But pass blocking was a problem. But now, instead of having like this, cement-footed zombie Matt Ryan under center, or the ghost of Carson Wentz under center, or Jacoby Brissett under center, you're looking at a guy who can extend plays with his legs, who's going to take on a lot for himself as well. And so I think that, if Jonathan Taylor comes back, and that's, I won't bet it until Jonathan Taylor is definitely back in camp. In camp. If Taylor doesn't report by week 1, then I might kind of lean on the under, but I will be bullish and say, give me the over as long as Jonathan Taylor is back.
Yeah, I'm liking the over as well. I'm with you on this. I love that they have Gardner Minshew, not the best starting quarterback, but kind of a solid veteran to kind of, hold up, whether or not Anthony Richardson is playing right from the start, or if they need to, bench him and bring in Minshew to kind of even things out. I like that. It reminds me of last year with the Falcons. They drafted Desmond Ridder, had Marcus Mariota, who started the year, but they took a chance on Ridder, who they ended up starting later in the year. I think Richardson obviously is supposed to have a higher upside in general than Ridder, and was drafted higher. But just the fact that the Colts, a disappointing team last year, but still have a decent starting quarterback. It's not like other situations where they're forcing Richardson to start right from the get-go. They can bring him along as they need. And, the Colts, the head coaching change was Shane Steichen, but they do have 2 solid coordinators with him. Gus Bradley as the defensive coordinator and Jim Bob Cooter as the OC. I don't think that can go overlooked either. It's not like we have, Steichen who's expected to be, the main play caller on either side of the ball. So, I think, maybe some value taking that over at plus odds. We both like the over there. And we got Adam Bernard chiming in on our chat here. Producer Adam Bernard saying that he also likes the Colts over 6.5. He also likes the Jags over 9.5. So we agree on those. Let's see if we disagree on this last one for the AFC South. The Texans also at 6.5 win total is their number. Same as the Colts here. Last year, 3-13-1 was the record for them. We got the over at plus 110, the under at minus 130 for the Texans. Where are you going with this?
I'm taking the under. I mean, listen, I like CJ Stroud. I like D'Amico Ryans as the new head coach. I think that there's a lot of potential for the future. But for right now, I think that this is not. I mean, they won 3 games last year, and now you're telling me that to take the over, that the improvements that they made are a 4-win improvement? No, even with how crappy the South Division is, I can't do it. I will happily take the under on this one for sure.
All right, we agree on this one too. Going under. I like that they have so many young pieces, and I'm hoping D'Amico Ryans is going to be a solid head coach. But yeah, it's the first year of this CJ Stroud. It's the first year with D'Amico Ryans is there. A lot of young pieces, good young pieces on the defense, but I just think it's going to be another rebuilding year, at least this year. I think the arrow's pointing up, though, in Houston. I'm hoping they're good next year, but we'll see. I think you got to wait and see, especially with Stroud, just how good he is. All right, so we're both going under there. Let's bring in our producer, Adam Bernard, and see just kind of where he differs, where he agrees with us on these 4 teams. Adam, where you like? I mentioned you like the over on the Colts, right?
No, actually, I like I have them at 6-11, so that's a no bet for me. They're right on the line.
Okay.
That one I probably wouldn't play just because, like I said, it's so close on the line to me for them. I think they'll be a good team they'll be a team that's in a lot of games. They'll be fun to watch. They'll watch them grow, but I don't know if they're going to get a ton of wins. Again, also, let's see what happens with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. So where do you like? What about the Texans, Jaguars, and Titans? Where do you stand on those?
Jaguars definitely the over on 9.5. I think they're going to probably win that division unless they deal with some major injuries for extended periods of time. And yeah, I know the schedule they play some tough teams out of conference, but I think they could beat up on the division, and that alone will get them close to that. So over on that. Tennessee, I'm not ready to bury them yet, even though they're close. I don't love it. I would probably go over on that one, but I get that's a no bet for me. And then Houston for sure, under 6.5, without a doubt. Same thing as Indianapolis, but just not as good. They don't have as many parts there. They're not as ready.
I was surprised to see the Texans win total at 6.5. I thought it might be lower.
I think everybody was surprised to see the Texans win total sitting at 6.5.
Makes you think maybe it's a 7-win team, huh?
I'll bet you Adam and I would happily give you, 5-1 odds on the, and say that there's no way that they go over 6.5. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Adam, but if Servo wants to play that game.
No, I'm on the under too. So
the only reason I could see them maybe getting that number is because the division is so weak, and because you got the games against Indy are going to be a toss up. They could easily take both. That's 2 right there. Maybe they get a split with the Titans. That's 3. I understand it's still a high number, but it because of the division they play in, if they sweep the Colts, all of a sudden now maybe they get a little bit closer.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we get from D'Amico Ryans, the head coach. Maybe he's a guy that's just, late in games, he's pulling out these trick plays. He catches teams off guard. Who knows? But
Adam,
I'm still.
Did you get that shirt at the Wharf?
No, this is actually the Metallica S&M 2 concert shirt from night 1.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't buy shirts that say the cities I've been to. That's lame. I didn't love this shirt, but the T-shirt selection for those shows was not great.
I saw the San Francisco thing, and obviously you're out here with me, so I was like, well, that's a Wharf T-shirt if I ever saw one. You get caught in the rain and had to buy a new shirt?
No, but I will say this: the first time I went to a Giants game at night in the summer, and somebody was like, "Bring a hoodie," I scoffed at them, but I did it anyway. And boy, was I glad I did it. It gets real cold out there.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And the seagulls crap all over you by like the 7th and 8th inning.
Yeah, so it's a good way to go home.
Adam, you're saying you're not one of those people that in an airport or wherever city you're at, you're not stopping at the at one of the airport stores and gift shop and getting a San Francisco T-shirt or a Nashville T-shirt.
No. Like I'll get if I go to a city I haven't been to before, I'll try and get a team T-shirt or a team keychain or something like that. But no, I'm not just gonna buy if I go to Houston for something, I'm not gonna buy a hoodie that says Houston on it. That's it's just not my style.
I came back with a Canton snow globe for my wife.
But she collects those, right?
No, I didn't. No, she doesn't.
I was about to give you props, Howard, for thinking about your wife there.
Well, I was either going to get her a snow globe or COVID. So I'm going to wait and see if we got a COVID super spreader at the expo.
Why not both?
Because I can't afford both, man. My wife, if she gets COVID, if she's sick, I can't afford that, man. That weighs on me mentally. Yeah, see, Adam's man. Yeah, I'm married. Yep. I got you. Servo, it'll come down to you're still in the newlywed phase. You guys are, when she's sick and grumpy, you're like, oh, I can make you some soup. Me and Bernard, we're at that stage where we're like, I'm out of the house here. I'm really sorry you're upset and you're sick. So bye-bye.
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. Here's the blanket. Here, there, left a can of soup on the counter. There's a can opener. See you in a little bit.
And yes, I would love to sleep on the couch tonight, honey. Thank you so much for asking.
Listen, I fall asleep in the recliner anyway. So it just may as well stay down there.
Well, that's because you're an old man like me too. So
there you go.
All right, let's get to some baseball. Can we get to some baseball bets here, please, Servo?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to some baseball. I got to remind people, by the way, if you got the football on your brain, We've been promoting it, but if you haven't already, go check out the fantasy football draft guide and the fantasy football cheat sheet over at Fantasy Alarm. With that All-Pro subscription, you get both of those for free, but you can get a free 7-day trial to the All-Pro subscription at Fantasy Alarm right now. Just go to fantasyalarm.com/draft. I mentioned the draft guide, the cheat sheet. We got new articles, rankings being updated throughout the off season here. Preseason updates coming. So definitely get on that now if you haven't already, and scratch that football itch with us. Yeah, let's talk some baseball now. Get to our best bets for tonight. What's your top pick tonight? I think we're on a couple of the same games here, but what do you got for your top pick?
My top pick tonight, I'm pushing the chips all in on the Braves tonight against Clark Schmidt. I know that Clark Schmidt has been relatively decent over the last couple of starts that he's made. No more than 3 earned runs allowed. But, man, I got to tell you, he hasn't gone beyond the 6th inning in, I think, 12 of his last 13 starts. So he doesn't go deep into the games. The Yankee bullpen is struggling mightily. Matt Olson, hotter than a chicken McNugget on a sidewalk in Rio, baby. This dude is killing it right now. Absolutely crushing it. Multi-hit games up the yin-yang. I think it's like 5 straight games with like multi-hits, 5 home runs in his last 6 or 7 games. I mean, this is just... He is so good. He is so on fire. Over 1.5 total bases against Clark Schmidt. That's minus 110 on DK, baby.
Listen, the Matt Olson props have been just like, when in doubt, just kind of go back to it. And more often than not, it's going to cash. So I love the bet.
Didn't I tell you on the show last week that for our daily dinger, which we're not going to do today because you just said I'm just going to put it on. I said to you, I was going to put money on Matt Olson. Yeah. Every single day for the rest of the season, right? To hit a home run, and look at what he's done right now. I've only just done 1 unit, right? Do you know how much I'm up right now after this last barrage?
Yeah, I think the last show we did, you had him as your daily dinger, and he went yard that night. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And I think one of the other shows that someone else was filling in for you, whether it was John or James, they also went with Olsen, and he went deep that night too. So it's just, it's just one of those things. When in doubt, go back to it. And you're a Yankees guy, so fading, how to fade the Clark Schmidt, I guess. So I got to pay attention to that. My best bet, I'm going with the Astros Marlins over 7.5, minus 120 on FanDuel. I think this line is a good one to get the over because it's Framber Valdez versus Braxton Garrett, which both guys have been up and down recently and lately. Obviously we had Valdez throwing that no hitter, but he over his last 5 starts since the All-Star break, and that's combined with this no hitter included, he has a 6.10 ERA. Over this last month, and in his 4 other starts, he's allowed 21 total runs, at least 4 runs in all those. So yeah, you take out that no hitter, and he's still just he's been struggling here. And the Marlins have been a top 5 offense versus lefties all season. Over the past 2 weeks versus lefties, they have a 345 WOBA, 120 WRC plus. We got Josh Bell and Jake Berger actually making this lineup more dangerous since the trade deadline. So I like the value kind of looking at the Marlins offense against Valdez, but and Valdez also a guy that has worse numbers on the road compared to home. But the other side, I do expect the Astros offense to do its thing against Braxton Garrett. Garrett has been, he had a good stretch earlier in the season, but lately he's just kind of come back down to earth, fallen off a bit. He's got a 5.35 ERA over his last 7 starts since the start of July. He's got worse numbers at home too than on the road. So he's got that, not in his favor here. And Houston has just been crushing lefties over the past 2 weeks. Like literally just some crazy numbers, 428 WOBA, 276 ISO in this split, 325 batting average versus lefties. I think we've mentioned on the show a number of times, just this lineup versus lefties is just so good because Kyle Tucker and Yoran Alvarez are guys that hit lefties from the left side. They hit left-handed pitching well, and they're basically the only 2 lefties in the lineup. The rest of this lineup's filled with righties that can smash lefties too. So yeah, I think the over here is a great bet. Just kind of fading both pitchers, and both offenses really doing well in their split.
You're going to double down on that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll throw one right on because this is another bet, kind of like your Matt Olson pick. Every time Kyle Tucker's going against the lefty, I'm taking his props over, and I'm going with his over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. He's hitting 340 against left-handed pitching now this season. He has 321 batting average on the road too. Some better road numbers for him. So he's in Miami for this one, but crushing lefties in general. 1002 OPS in this split as well. And he's been over this prop, 1.5 hits, runs, RBI. He's been over it in 9 of the last 14 games coming into tonight. And some of those unders have been when he's gone against a right-handed pitcher. So I'm looking at every time he's facing a lefty. I love taking his props.
I could dig that. Listen, I'm going to double down on my Braves talk here also because and I did this for our friends over at RT Sports as well in the Pick'em contest that they have. And I took Ronald Acuna over 1.5 total bases. I'm just, I think that, again, Clark Schmidt, again, fine doing what he's done. But, Acuna also, I think he's hit safely in 9 out of his last 12 games. And he's got 7 multi-hit performances in that span. So give me him over 1.5 total bases. Also, that's -120 on DK. So Olsen at -110, Acuna -120. These guys are hot right now. The Atlanta Braves, they have a 392 weighted on base average over the last 7 days. And they're also consistently the best hitting team against right-handed pitching all season long. So I'm just going to lock that in there and go against my Yankees. So Acuna there for me.
Yeah, this game total is at 9 for this Braves-Yankees game, and the Braves are the big favorites there. So you obviously think they are doing most of that scoring. So I like that. All right, my last pick before we give out some Diamond Dogs a little bit later. My last pick for tonight, I'm going with the Padres and the Orioles. First 5 innings under here. 4.5 is the total for the first 5. -120 on BetMGM. I'm really backing both these pitchers. Yu Darvish been looking like, the Cy Young contender that we're used to. Over his last 6 starts since the All-Star break, a 2.55 ERA, and that includes a big blow-up outing where he allowed 7 runs to Pittsburgh in July. And if you take that out, he's just allowed 3 earned runs over his last 5 other starts, minus that other one. So, I really like the way he's kind of rolling here. He's been, he had a really good start. Last start, really good start against the Dodgers previously too. It's just coming in really well, and at home here, I think he's going to keep it going. The Orioles actually one of the bottom tier offenses versus righties over the past week in terms of WOBA, ISO, batting average. I think Darvish keeps it going, anchors the Padres in the first 5 at least. And then the other side, I've been backing Grayson Rodriguez a few times here since he's come back into the Orioles rotation. And I'm doing it again here. He's got a 274 FIP over his last 5 starts. And it hasn't been, cake matchups. He's had to face the Dodgers, the Rays, the Astros, the Blue Jays. And I think he's, a guy that's just kind of getting overlooked because he had a terrible start to this season as a rookie. But, he went back to the minors. He's come back into the Orioles rotation. He's been a lot more effective. So I like him. And the Padres, too, have been another offense, kind of like the Orioles, slumping a little bit, especially against right-handed pitching over the past week. So give me both these guys, first 5 under 4.5.
All right. I'm going to go to a game total also. I'm going to go full game total here. Rays Giants. It's Tyler Glass now against Ryan Walker. The over-under on the game total is 7.5. I mean, it's such a low number. Like a 7 is a low number. Is this a 4-3 game? Could this be a 5-3 game? Could it be a 5-4 game? I think so. I mean, we've seen Glass now get hit at times. Ryan Walker, I'm not going to sit here and lock in on this dude. The number seems low to me. I'm not going to base this in anything other than the fact that I think it's I just don't see this team or these teams staying in the under on this run there. We know that the Rays are a good hitting team. The Giants are competing for a playoff spot. The Rays bullpen over the past week has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. They've been giving up a bunch of stuff. And the Giants bullpen has been middle of the pack. Camilo Doval is great, but what about the rest of them? I just feel like this number is a little low at 7.5. Like it wouldn't have been a no bet. I wouldn't have even thought about it at 8.5, but now with 7.5, I'll take the over for -110.
Yeah, that's a similar kind of game theory I had for the Astros Marlins over 7.5, because it's like when you see a number that's at 7.5. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it's like more often than not, it does go over because it's just not going to be as low scoring as the kind of the sports books are banking on. Obviously, they kind of set it that low because of whatever the pitching matchup. Two maybe offenses coming in that are colder, but yeah, there's value in taking overs at 7.5 or 7 game totals. So yeah, I could get behind that one as well. A little late night action if you want. That's the latest game I think we have tonight. So love that. All right, we're gonna get to some plus money and our diamond dogs in just a little bit, but we gotta flip gears back to football here and talk some college football. And this is a little thing we're starting up now for on this show, and we're calling it the College Football Corner.
Look at you lazy ass coach, you.
I'm just watching film. I'm getting ready for the season, man.
You're not even looking at the TV in that picture, dude.
This is true. I'm taking a break to pose for the camera, but you can see I got the clicker in hand. I got the TV on.
What team is that helmet sitting right above you?
So this is Maryland. You can see on the screen too. We got the Maryland logo. Shout out to our producer Adam Bernard for cutting this stuff in. Yeah, we got the helmet, the Maryland logo on the helmet there. Yeah, my Terps. It's my alma mater, so I got to rep the Terps there.
All right. Well, let me ask you, rep your Terps. I don't even. You know what? I don't want to know your Terps. I want to talk win totals here. I want to talk about the Big Ten because I think that I think you and I had a conversation. We talked about the fact that there are 72 teams in the Big Ten now, right? So there's some new blood in there, but there's also there's going to be this whacked out travel schedule where you're going to have like the Washington Huskies having to travel to College Park, Maryland to take on the Terps. So I think the Big Ten is kind of intriguing in the sense that, once you start moving around different teams into the conference, like what happens to the win totals there for me for in your opinion, for that.
Yeah.
So how about some college win totals here for what do you got the best? What are your best bets here?
Well, so first off, with the kind of looking at the conference realignment, so we are still a year away until we get the Big Ten adding USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, and Washington State. So that's all coming next year. So we're kind of a year away from that. But to your point, though, before I give out some picks for this season, it's going to be really important to see what the schedules are like. So you got to pay attention when the schedule release comes because, like you said, if we get, Washington, USC that have to travel across the country to go face Maryland, to go face, if they play on the road at, Ohio State, Iowa, Michigan, or if they get these games at home, it's obviously a lot more advantageous to them. So that's just something you got to pay attention to when those schedules come out. This year, thankfully, for college football fans, we have it a little bit normal until the Pac-12 basically dissolves. So, but yeah, this year, I'll give out one over and one under for the Big Ten here. And I'll be doing this for conferences before the season starts. But one over I love is Wisconsin, over 8.5. You can get it at different sports books if you want to shop around, but minus 138 on FanDuel right now if you want to get that over for Wisconsin. This is a team that went 6-6 last year, but I'm expecting big improvement where I'm expecting at least 3 more wins added here because they bring in Luke Fickell, head coach from Cincinnati last year, and he's a guy that's, with coaching changes, you kind of see like, all right, it could be maybe a little speed bump in the first season. Maybe they need a couple seasons to get used to that new conference. But Luke Fickell is used to the Big Ten. This is a guy that played Ohio State. He coached, defensive coach for Ohio State for like 15 years before he was at Cincinnati. When he's been at Cincinnati, those teams have been built on really good defenses and kind of built in a similar mold to how we've seen, Ohio State or some of these other Big Ten teams. So he he has that conference mindset to come in and actually compete right away in year one. So I like this over 8.5. The main thing for me though, Wisconsin, if you've watched them over the years, their offense was very kind of lower scoring, grinded out, run heavy. They have a brand new offense here, up-tempo, air raid offense coming in. They bring in the offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, who was at North Carolina the past couple seasons, had some high-scoring up-tempo offenses there. He's bringing that right over here for Wisconsin, and they have a transfer quarterback, Tanner Mordecai from SMU, who ran similar offenses at SMU. Ironically, played against Luke Fickell's Cincinnati team, so I think Fickell intentionally brought Mordecai in because he knows the talent he has, especially to run this system. And he's also just kind of a veteran presence there, which, for a first-year quarterback coach in a new conference, having kind of a veteran there at the QB position, I think is huge. They still have a stud running back in Braylon Allen that they'll lean on as well in that offense. But the main thing, I love this offense, and the defense isn't going to be a worry. The Wisconsin defense was really good last year. And Luke Fickell has that defensive mindset to kind of keep them going. But the main thing I love with this over 8.5, if you look at their schedule, I just don't see 4 losses on here. So obviously they have a 12-game schedule here. So getting that over, 9-3 or better record is the key. And I just don't see them getting 4 losses because they have one of the easier schedules if you look at the Big Ten, because they don't have to play Michigan. They don't have to play Penn State, which is both huge bonuses. They get Ohio State, but that game's at home for them, which I think is huge. They also get Iowa, but that game is at home. So their 2 toughest games this year are at home. They could easily win one or both of them, I think. And they don't have to play Michigan. They don't have to play Penn State, as I mentioned. I think they're rolling here. I see, a 9-3 at least, double-digit win team here for me. So give me the over on Wisconsin.
The over on Wisconsin. All right, that's your over for the for the Big Ten. What's your under?
My under is Minnesota. Under 7 wins. It's a round number, but minus 130 on DraftKings. You can look at under 7.5. Honestly, I'd take under 6.5 if you want. I just don't think this team is going to be too good this year. I think they're barely going to make a bowl, if at all. They went 8-4 the past 2 years. So you're kind of saying, all right, are they 2 wins less? And I think they are, because they're losing their top quarterback, their starting quarterback from the past 3-4 years, Tanner Morgan. He's gone. And their stud workhorse running back, Mo Ibrahim, is also gone, who they were giving him 25, 30 carries per game last year, and he was basically their offense. They have a very run-focused offense. I think losing these 2 guys, veteran guys from this offense, is huge. Their defense also lost some key talent on that side of the ball. When you look at their schedule, by the way, it's just not great because they have 5 games I see right away where they're going to be underdogs and probably losing them. I would pencil in, maybe they go 1-4 in these, but they have to play North Carolina in a tough non-conference game. Michigan, they have to play Iowa, Ohio State, and Wisconsin, as I mentioned. I think that's possibly 5 losses there. So if you're kind of penciling, maybe they go 1-4. That means they have to go, at least 6-1 in their other 7, which I think is a big ask. And especially they have to open the season in a rare situation where they're playing Nebraska in a conference matchup right off the bat. So I think it's tough for Minnesota. I'm taking the under 7 here. I think they're going to take a big step back from last year, from the past couple of years.
Okay. All right. Well, Craig T. Nelson and the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to be very upset. Oh, that's a show before your time. Never mind. I forget that you're 16 years old. So, all right. Wisconsin 17. Over 8.5 wins. You like that? Minus 138 on FanDuel. Minnesota under. It was the Minnesota Screaming Eagles on the TV show, by the way. The Golden Gophers are the real life team. So Minnesota under 7 wins, Wisconsin over 8.5 wins. I can get behind that. I can definitely get behind that in a roundabout sort of a way. But okay, good stuff.
Yeah. So
what kind of college stuff are you going to have over at Fantasy Alarm this year, just so we know for future coverage?
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be having the college football DFS articles. I think Pete Cole will be back with me to cover kind of all the slates this year. So that'll be cool to have me and him covering everything college football wise. But I'll be thrown out because last year we had a different situation. But with the website this year, I'm going to be giving out some best bets and some picks over weekly picks over at Fantasy Alarm. So definitely stay tuned for that. And on this show, I'll be giving out some game picks, weekly. Obviously, we'll be focused on NFL, but I'll be definitely giving out some college football, spreads and totals and all that as we go through the season. So yeah, stay tuned. I'm fully into it. This is we got college football starting up a little bit earlier than the NFL. Basically a week before. So it's coming up fast. So yeah, we gotta prep now.
All right. I love it, baby. I love it. All right. Good stuff coming along the way.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap up today's show. We're not going to give out some home run calls, but I think Howard will probably go Matt Olson, right? And
plus 225. Do it up.
There we go. I'll double down on that. Why not? Let's give out our plus picks, our plus money picks for tonight. Our Diamond Dogs.
I'm rounding up the Diamond Dogs.
Who the are the Diamond Dogs?
It's just a group of people who care, Roy. Not unlike folks at a hip-hop concert whose hands are not in the air.
Oh, what's your Diamond Dog for Monday night?
All right, well, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of your over on the Astros-Marlins game, Framber Valdez versus Braxton Garrett, and I'm just going to take the Miami Marlins on the full money line there, plus 124 on DraftKings. Listen, I bet on Framber Valdez the last time that he was on the mound, and he crapped the bed, and so I'm going to go against him because Braxton Garrett has always been very, very good to me. So, boom, Braxton Garrett. Marlins win this one, plus 124.
I like that. Yeah, I'm fading the Valdez against Miami too, so I can see the Marlins pulling that one out for sure. All right, my pick is I guess fading some of yours because I think I got the Yankees on the first 5 money line as a really good value, plus 175 on DraftKings for that first 5 money line. Listen, I am worried, and it's obviously risky betting against this Braves offense. So that part of it is kind of something you have in the back of your mind. But Clark Schmidt, you mentioned earlier, he's been decent lately. He's been okay. He's not been terrible. 3.67 ERA and a 4-0 record in his last 5 starts since the All-Star break. But the main thing I'm looking at here is Max Fried going for Atlanta. And since he's come back from injury, he had 1 good outing, which was like 6 shutout innings against the Cubs. But then he had not so good outing. 4 runs allowed to the Pirates over 4 innings. I don't think we can kind of count on Fried just going out and throwing 6 shutout here. I think he's going to give up a few because the Yankees have just been crushing left-handed pitching lately. Tops in the league over like the past couple of weeks against lefties. And I think that there's value in taking the Yankees offense to kind of back them and kind of provide a little bit of run support for Clark Schmidt, that taking them on the first 5 is something I'm looking at. So yeah, plus 175 there.
I love it. All right, Servo, we got some breaking news going on in the NFL right now. And I'll tell you what, man, this is going to affect anybody who's betting the props for Ramondre Stevenson and his rushing yards total. I'm looking for that right now. I want to see where it's at, but this is a big deal. Ezekiel Elliott has apparently signed a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots worth up to $6 million. That's a big deal. We got to find some rushing yards. Here we go.
Wow.
I'm looking for Stevenson.
I think they pulled his rushing yards off of DraftKings as I'm looking.
I don't even see him listed right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they pulled it down.
Probably.
Wow, so Zeke goes to the Patriots. That is crazy. And I'm sure obviously this has a ton of fantasy implications. But yeah, for betting wise, you gotta look to the unders now on Stevenson. Like, I mean, Stevenson was really good for them. So that's kind of a weird spot, but obviously it's just another back. They have been rumored to be, in the market for like Dalvin Cook, Zeke here. So I'm not totally surprised, honestly. The Patriots were one of those teams. They were also the team looking at DeAndre Hopkins to bring him in. So I'm not totally surprised here, but yeah, huge deal. Zeke to the Patriots.
That's great.
I'm sure. You got your Sirius XM fantasy show coming up in just a little bit, and I'm sure you'll be talking about this one because that's huge news.
Yeah, 1 year, $6 million for Ezekiel Elliott with the Patriots. This one's this is. Oh, I don't know, man. I got some other work I got to do right now, Servo. I got to get out of here right now. If we're not doing
with that
call.
Yeah. With that, we will get out of here. But tune into Howard's Fantasy Alarm Sirius XM Fan Show from 5 to 7 because he will be diving into this, breaking down all the fantasy betting angles as well. Right here on Bettor Sports Network, get your MLB DFS advice coming up because we got Quick Pitch MLB DFS Live with John and Pemba and Justin Fensterman filling in there. 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse. He will definitely be talking about some Zeke going to the Patriots, I would bet. So stay tuned here on Bettor Sports Network. And appreciate everyone tuning in for this Bettor Sports Betting show. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. So tune in then. We'll have some more, NFL, college, MLB talk as well. So stay tuned, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.